He's a Toastmaster. Over 5 years, very passionate about Toastmasters, coached 2 clubs to President Distinguished status, thus awarded District 86 Coach of the Year in 2018 to 2019, while President of Richmond Hill Toastmasters, Area Director twice, including outgoing Area Director W63 in 2021-2022, Division A Director in 2020-2021, Charter Member spot on Advanced Toastmasters Club in 2020 to 2021, Half Charter Star Toastmasters Club January 2021, recipient of the Member of Making Difference MMAD in 2020 and 2021 award. Please welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Raam Lakhanpal.
Thank you, madam. You are the Sergeant at Arms. Word of the day today is dynamic. Dynamic group, dynamic word, dynamic club, and dynamic leaders. The theme is somewhat different. The year 2020, panic overwhelmed the world when hit by a pandemic. We, the English call it, we were caught with our pants down. Governments and corporations requested employees to work from home, and that was not an easy thing to do, because setting up all those paraphernalia and computers and all that took time. Trump was in charge. Donald Trump was in charge, and he put warp speed vaccine into order. And before you know it, Pfizer introduced the first vaccine. It was ready for the world, and that was on record time. Everything changed, not the norm anymore. Relations. And the other thing that happens, some things were rationed that you wouldn't believe. What was rationed? Toilet paper, big ration. But no, not the beer store, not the liquor store, record-setting sales on beer and alcohol. But toilet paper, no, keep it on the ration. The world stopped on its track. Canada and the US border was closed. What about we, Toastmasters? What do we do? Are we lost? What are we going to do? Zoom at the rescue. What a lifesaver. Most of the Toastmasters clubs used Zoom, not in-person meetings. Change is allowed online clubs such as Leadership Speaks to flourish. Ultimate winners are those who adapt to changing times in this challenging times. And the changes occur, and you'll see many good things coming out of the online world. Ray, are you ready for your speech?
Point of order, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. I do need to describe my role.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, my system here is cooperating a little bit.
So good.
Yes, the toast, okay, the toast. Aswanti Rajan, the toast of the day, please.
Hello, everyone. Heraclitus once said that there is nothing permanent except the change. Talking about change, as our Toastmaster of the Day already mentioned, the biggest change in all our lives happened so far was the pandemic. The pandemic changed the whole world. Actually, that would be an understatement, but in less than a year, it upended day-to-day lives across the globe. The pandemic has changed how we worked, we learned, and interacted as well. And Toastmasters was not an exception. In-person meetings, post-meeting networking, our chit-chat, the extravagant conferences, all were gone. We saw clubs not conducting meetings, members leaving the clubs, and even clubs getting closed. But during those times of trials and tribulations, Toastmasters International took the risk of moving on to the virtual mode. It was unexpected. None of us were prepared, but the passion and the zeal of Toastmasters across the globe kept the spirits alive. Toastmasters are one of those communities who welcome this change with open arms, or rather with finger clicks, and embrace the challenge. Only because we wanted to continue our learnings in Toastmasters. So dear leaders, today, let's raise a toast for all those amazing Toastmasters who renewed their determination and believed in the unlimited potential of this virtual world. Toast to all of you.
Thank you very much, Aswanti. A great toast. Wonderful indeed. Now we move on to the next item on the agenda. And that is introducing the grammarian. Are you there for the word of the day? Brent Patterson.
Raam.
Oh, thank you, Brent.
I am here. I am here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, as grammarian of the day, of course, one of my first roles is to make sure I help you identify any of those nasty filler words like your ahs and your ums and your buts and your so's and your ands and your likes and your rights. I also want to listen for use of some fantastic stylistic devices, alliteration, the use of metaphors, use of hyperbole, or even more advanced stylistic devices. In addition to that, I also really would like to challenge this group of advanced public speakers to not use the words very or really. Instead of using very or really, how about replacing the phrase with something more dynamic? Instead of saying very beautiful, how about gorgeous? Or instead of saying really big, try massive. And stretch yourselves to eliminate reallys and veries from your speech. It's a personal pet peeve of mine. Why? Because I'm a big culprit of using reallys and veries, and I'm trying to encourage myself and everyone else to do a better job. Next, of course, I'd like to introduce you to your word of the day, dynamic, which can be used as an adjective or a noun. As an adjective, when describing a process, it can be characterized by constant change or activity or progress, as in, this is a dynamic meeting. Or in describing a person, someone who's positive in attitude, like our host is dynamic and engaging. As a noun, the word dynamic can be used as a force that describes change or progress within a system, as in effective evaluations are a part of the basic dynamic of leadership speak. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Professor Patterson. What a dynamic way to describe a word of the day. Wow, that's great. We gotta have our ears open and our mouths saying the right things. Otherwise, Professor Patterson is going to catch you. Now we go on. Thank you very much, Brent. We move on to our timer. Describe your role, please.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My role for today is to keep track of time. You've already seen that I've been using the virtual backgrounds. As per the agenda, I will be showing green background when there is the minimum time allocated, the yellow background when the middle time's been allocated and you should think about wrapping up, and the red background, which is really when you should be thinking about wrapping up. And as per contest rules, seeing as it's contest season, I will give you a 30-second grace period and then the time's up is going to be shown. For those of you who only have a specified allocated time, I will give you a 30 seconds before your end warning in the agenda. So if it doesn't have a green yellow and red allocation, you will get a 30 seconds warning before the red. And then, your time is almost up. Thank you. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Wonderful indeed. One of the most difficult jobs in Toastmasters is timing, just keeping track, everybody on track. And wonderful indeed to have a very, very effective timer. Now we go into the introduction of this morning's leadership speaker, and he gave me a little chapter of how I'm going to introduce him. It's quite a lengthy book, and I'm going to read it because I just got it now. He will be reflecting on a minimum of 6-month experience as a leader and an impact on the 360-degree evaluation. And my introduction about the speaker is, here you are, minding your own business when all of a sudden any situation appears in your presence, in front of you. Would you know what to do? Are you ready to take charge? If you're comfortable with a particular leadership style, could you step out of the comfort zone and use another style, or 2, or even 3? What about the group you're going to lead? What's their level of willingness? Their level of ability? Can you take charge? Sharing this experience as a leader in Toastmasters and out is from the Rivero, Rivero, a DTM, who will be taking you on a journey of interactive leadership. Presenting Ray Rivero, taking charge in a minute. But first of all, Madam Timer, his timer is going to be green at 8, amber or yellow at 10, and red at 12. Ray Rivero, ready to take charge? Ready to take charge. Ray Rivero. Take it away, Ray.
Thank you, Raam. Here you are. A situation requiring you to take over as a leader has just fallen at your feet. What do? I got an idea. Let's go over to the supermarket and head on over to the spice aisle. And right next to the paprika and the pepper are 8 brands of spices, courtesy of Leadership Speak. Fellow Leadership Speak members and honored guests, I wish leadership was so easy like that. But there is a few ways that you can prepare yourself, be aware of, to be a better leader. It starts with yourself, understanding what you're comfortable with your particular leadership style. Another way is how to reach out to the people that you'll be working with in a team, in a club, outside and inside of Toastmasters. And finally, what type of people will you be working with? So let's start with something rather straightforward. The understand your leadership style speech. Just a moment. How many of you have taken the Understand Your Leadership Style project? Let's raise your hand if you have done that. I have done that project 3 times. And I've come up with results 3 different times because I've been involved in roles that were quite different as a leader. And yet, one of the things I've learned from that project is that even if I am comfortable in one type of leadership style, I need to be aware of the other leadership styles by putting a name on it in case I need to step out of that comfort zone and embrace it. As a leader, that is one quality we should all strive to do, is do not be afraid of stepping out of that comfort zone. Just as a review, we have a bureaucratic style, which means we have the rules to follow. We have an authoritative style, which is not a dictatorial style, but rather giving clear and precise instructions and to inspire a little enthusiasm. Innovation. We have that in bucket loads here in Leadership Speak. And then we have pace setting, which is setting a high standard. This is the equivalent of a leader in full sprint. Democratic sometimes requires a consensus and a collaboration. And affiliative requires meeting our emotional needs and working in harmony. Coaching means building skills for the future, especially someone who is brand new to a role and not familiar with the skills needed. And finally, meeting our needs as an altruistic leader. Being aware of all of these types of styles, putting a name on it, is a dynamic way of improving our skills as a leader. Because if you don't put a name on that style of leadership or be familiar enough with that leadership, when you step out of that comfort zone, it's going to be a little more difficult for you to get the confidence you need to carry out your role as a leader. I have served as a vice president of education for several clubs. I had some clubs that were small, we had members with one path, and I've been a vice president of education for another club, which has members in multiple paths and has more than 20 members. It's a wide range to be involved in as a vice president of education, especially when I have members who are starting out and not confident with pathways, some who will never embrace pathways, and others who fully are engaged. As a leader, especially in education, I have more than just filling out the roles in a meeting, finding mentors to mentees. I also have to encourage each and every member to fully participate in the Toastmaster experience. So whatever I need to do as a leader, I have to engage my members. What do they think of me? Well, I have an idea about that. And it starts with the 4 core values of Toastmasters: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. A leader is more than just talking the talk. It's walking the walk. I demonstrate with each and every opportunity that what I'm going to say I'm going to do, I follow through what I am going to do, and I've done. I feel that is the best way for me to get the respect I need and have my members understand what I want to do. And also, the important thing as a leader, and I didn't know this, is that there are certain ways for their ability and their willingness for each and every member. Sometimes you have members who have low ability and low willingness. They're just not motivated. Sometimes that's where a leader has to come in and work directly with the members with this type of interaction. I have to look at them closely. I have to define roles and tasks. I have to be specific about it. The important thing also is that if they have high willingness but low ability, that's an opportunity for me to be a coach. This is where I can increase that willingness and get the person or persons from that low ability to high. I also have a supporting way where they have a high ability but low willingness. And delegating is ideal, at least for me, because I have a group that is highly willing with high ability. When I was a vice president of education for one of those clubs, what I found out was that the members were very much engaged in getting their roles filled, in delivering their speeches, and getting their awards. My role, my key one, was as basic camp manager. Before I approved the role, I encouraged my members to make sure that they're logged into us in a club where they want to give their awards specifically too, so I can approve and we can get that out of the way. The result for that particular club is that they earned 6 distinguished club points within the first 6 months of the year. I cannot get any better than that for a club. And the important thing is that it doesn't stop there. You're encouraged to do some more so that they can prepare for the next year. And that is just an example of what I can do and what I got complimented on in my 360s from members of my club. So overall, what can I provide as a leader? And what advice can I give to you? Be productive, be proactive, and be attentive. Figure out what's in it for them. Ask the question. Be familiar with the 8 roles of leadership presented in the Understanding Your Leadership Style. By putting a name on that style, you have an idea of when you step out of that comfort zone, what you can do. Your audience has ability and willingness. Find out what it is and figure out a way that you can go from conflict to collaboration. And you adapt your style. But there's one thing I forgot to mention during this speech. A leader should not be afraid to ask for help. Leaders are not supposed to be lone wolves. They work with their team. They work with others. And they work with the core integrity values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence, the core values of Toastmasters. But if you want to get more leadership advice and you end up going to Amazon.com and find that Leadership Speaks brands of spices with those 8 distinct flavors, please let me know because I want to order some from that website. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Ray, wonderful indeed. Thank you very much. Madam Tiber, would you allow in just a minute there for members to offer their little bit of 1 minute improvement, whatever they let, to Ray?
1 minute starting.
Now. Thank you.
That's 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Now we move on to our first speaker of the morning. Our evaluator for the first speech is Dinesh Sharma. Dinesh, would you describe the role, please, of the speaker?
Hi, good morning. The speaker for the first speech is presenting his speech on the vocal variety and the humorous contact. Sorry, I am using my phone because my laptop is not working, so I can't get the more details about it. So Raam, if you are kind enough to do more introduction of the speaker, I'll appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. Are you then complete?
Yeah,
in
I'll
your-
evaluate because I can evaluate using my phone also. For some reason, my laptop isn't
Sure.
connecting.
Okay, all right. Our speaker, engaging humor, would be speaking from the engaging humor path. It's going to be level 1, speech number 3, introduction to vocal variety and body language. Present a speech on any topic on use of vocal variety or body language and gestures or both. Our first speaker, the Bindhu Joseph. What a title. The Death of Bindhu Joseph. When I saw this title, whoa. The Death of Bindhu Joseph, Bindhu Joseph. And the timing would be 5, 6, and 7. Madam Timer. Bindhu Joseph.
A bright, sunny day, just what I like. I'm the sort of person who hates any sort of damp, drizzle, or downpour. You know, if you didn't know what it was, you'd think it was a garden party or maybe even a wedding, but you're at a wake. The only clue is everyone is in black. Not a problem with me. I adore black. It's one of my favorite colors. A diverse crowd. And fortunately, they're interacting with each other. So before I go any further, let me introduce myself. I was Bindhu Joseph. Yes, I can see some flash bulbs going on the virtual screen. I'm a ghost now. How did that happen? Well, a few days back, I was going on my usual long evening walk. You know, a little bit of a fanatic of that 13,000 steps. And a coconut dropped. Yes, dear friends, such things do happen in India. Well, back to the fact that I'm a ghost. You know, if when I was alive, you told me ghosts, you become a ghost if you have unfulfilled desires on earth, I would have said, But here I am, a virtual voyeur in the living world. So, wouldn't you like to know about the person I was? What best to know about the person you are than the people you have shared your lives with? And I'm a ghost. I can read their minds. You do know that ghosts can read minds. So let's start with it. Now, who shall I start with first? You would expect me to start with my near and dear ones, but I don't have many. Both my father and my brother have left before me, and now they're enjoying the frills of the heavenly abode. So, let me start with people you can relate to better with. Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters in December 2019. Yeah, the global pandemic, a cursed year. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as my Toastmaster journey was concerned, a blessed year. I got the opportunity to go all over the globe, visiting Toastmaster clubs and making friends with people like the ones in front of me. It was indeed a fantastic year as far as my Toastmaster journey was concerned. So let me go to one of my dearest, oldest Toastmaster friend, Marna. She was shaking her head. So sad, so early. She was such a deep thinker, compassionate soul. Yeah, a little bit idiosyncratic, maybe on the verge of quirky, but the type of friend who believed that friendship, it's a meeting of souls, and age or distance, time zones, culture, nothing is a barrier. So let's move on to someone else, someone a bit younger. There was this young girl, her name Pallavi. She was a student of mine. Again, a little more information about that to let you understand the background. I'm an oncologist, a cancer specialist, a researcher, a consultant, and also a trainer of postgraduates. And she is my student. Her eyes were red. It was obvious that she was crying a lot. And she was thinking, she was sad. And I'm not surprised because I used to be that sort of teacher. The sort of teacher you could confide in after hours. The sort of teacher you could interact with after hours. Not too surprised there. Now let's come back to the near and dear ones. A smile lit up my face. Well, at least I think a smile lit up my face. You know, I'm a ghost. I can't look at the mirror and check if I'm smiling, but okay, I assume I'm smiling. My mother. Selfish, selfish, selfish. She was thinking of the day I was born. This little girl, she came out butt first instead of face first. Added to that, she was so fat, I had to have a C-section. And even afterwards, not accommodating at all. I mean, she's not given me any handsome son-in-law. No chubby, cute little grandchild I could play with. And now who is going to call me every alternate day? Who am I going to tell the wrongs that are right and the rightful who are wrong? After all, the world is full of wrongs that are right and rights that are wrong. Well, you know what I mean. So dear friends, fellow Toastmasters and guests, moral of the story, do not have any unfulfilled desires. Do not keep any unfulfilled Toastmasters dreams or even DCP points for the coming November. Because if you do, you might end up like me, a ghost, a visual voyeur at my own wake. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Bindhu. Now I realize the death of Bindhu Joseph. Madam Timer, would you allow 1 minute for those for supplying the more feedback to our speaker? Madam Timer, 1 minute starts now.
That's 1 minute, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, that 1 minute just flew by. Our next speaker and evaluator, Toastmaster Sandy. Would you like to describe the objective or purpose of the speech?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Our next speaker is Hannah Schmidt. And just as it would happen, Hannah is also working on the same project as our previous speaker. She is working out of the presentation mastery path. She's working on vocal variety, gestures, and body language, and her timing is 5 to 7 minutes as well. And I'm really excited because this is a project where you need to use eye contact, gestures, body language online in front of the entire globe. And I'm just really happy that I get to evaluate her today. And her speech title is The Class of 1982. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sandy. Our next speaker, a Toastmaster for 11 years, a member of 4 clubs in 3 continents. So she flies around. Today she's zooming in from all the way in Africa. She loves to Zoom hop and meet friends. Extremely exciting to connect with Toastmasters from around the globe, she writes. During these changing times, she's achieved her DTM designation in the previous education program, which is called the Legacy Program. Hannah Schmidt, the class of 1982. The class of 1982, Hannah Schmidt. To you, Hannah, Toastmaster Hannah.
Reunite and feel so good, even after 40 years. Keep calm and go to your next high school reunion. Mr. Toastmaster. Hi, Lucy. Thanks for accepting my invitation to speak to you virtually. This is Hannah. Do you still remember me? I've not heard from you in a long time. Oh, you got married. That's why. And you've emigrated to New Zealand. That explains why I can't get hold of you via social media. And the 12-hour time difference makes it also quite tricky to get hold of you. Emily, my very special friend, gave me your contact details. Now that COVID restrictions have been lifted, I have some exciting news. I'm going to organize the class of 1982 reunion next year. We, that is Peter. No, not that redhead Peter from school. And I plan to see you all next year in March here in Windhoek. We are both so excited. It will be a daunting task though, but we shall throw a darn good party as we've always done, remember? And for us to relive our glory days of 1982. Lucy, do you realize that that is 40 years ago? Nevertheless, did Tom and Harry, oh, my heart dropped from school. You have already accepted. I wonder whether Harry is still as handsome as he was. Susan, Jane, and Mary will also attend. Do you remember Mary? She's the one who tried to lure Harry away from me, making eyes at him and writing all those love letters. But I've also got some very sad news. Have you heard about Alexia? She and her husband, Paul, died in a car accident while on holiday abroad. Her children were so devastated. And with the help of family and friends, they have recovered. Yeah, now that you mentioned, I nearly forgot about Jenny. She was the one sitting right in the back of the class, very quiet, soft-spoken, and reserved. I couldn't get hold of her. Can you assist me? Yeah, she's the one that got married when she left school. And she moved to Paris with her rich sugar daddy husband. I shall try and get hold of her via LinkedIn, Zoom, or any other medium. But I think her parents should also still be around. The class of 1982 reunion will take place over a long weekend here in Bindhu in March next year. Very sadly, our alma mater, our school, has been demolished and a huge supermarket is now in its place. Final registration and welcoming will be on the Friday afternoon. On Saturday morning, we shall have a breakfast organized by Sam. He is now a chef in a big hotel here in Bindhu. We shall have fun and games afterwards, and we can all sit and reminisce and go down memory lane. Lucy, bring your old photos along, please, please, please. You were our chief photographer in those days, remember? The barbecue fire will be lit a little bit later on in the afternoon, and the evening will be closer with a huge bonfire and some sing-song. As my Peter works at the breweries, he will sponsor the beer, and Sam will sponsor, or Sam's Hotel will sponsor the meat and salads. On Sunday morning, before breakfast, we shall have a short service conducted by James. Yes, yes, that's the rebellious James. He is now a well-known pastor. Amazing, hey? And then on Monday, we can all sit and relax and enjoy our company. I shall send you my contact details, and I'm very excited to have you all here for our 1982 class reunion. Bring your husband along. I have arranged discounted bed and breakfast, Airbnb accommodation establishments for all of us that join us from outside of Bindhu. Kindly RSVP by the January the 15th for us to have time to enjoy. Bye-bye, Lucy. Thank you very much for reaching out to me. Keep well. Ladies and gentlemen, few moments offer us the opportunity to go back in time and laugh like a teenager. Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow, what a storyteller. Madam Timer, give it a minute for those that want to offer their suggestions for betterment of the speaker. 1 minute, please.
Starting now.
Thank you. When I saw the name Sam, I thought, well, I'm not too sure gender-wise. Now I know for sure the gender is correct.
Yes.
Hannah, you are connecting, telling a story. What a lovely way to know that we really appreciate you zooming in all the way from a distant land, and yet you're here. You made the story sound connectivity, and this is what speeches are all about. And I'm sure Toastmaster Sandy Emden will cover in its entirety.
I still think after you do something like that, you should do a public lecture about what it is and how you did it and what he,
Okay.
his form.
Thank
That's 1
you.
minute.
Thank you, Madam
Or you can
Timer. The minute is up. Thank you. We move on to our next speaker. In our next speaker, may I ask the
that will put you in a high position in the music world in Jamaica.
May I ask the next evaluator to describe the purpose of the speech for the third speaker? Muhammad Asif Syed, are you there? Could you please describe the purpose of our next speaker's speech?
A very good evening, good morning, Toastmaster of the day, Raam Lakhanpal, and our speaker, Toastmaster Sudarshan, and our members and guests. So Toastmaster Sudarshan is going to present a speech on leading in a volunteer organization. Here, the speaker is going to describe or present a well-organized speech about the experience of serving as a volunteer leader. The purpose for the member is to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer organization. All the best to Toastmaster Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Our next speaker is a banker by profession and a storyteller by passion, a Toastmaster for over 8 years. His passions include reading, music, hopefully you sing as well, I'd like to hear that you sing, and long distance running, marathon runner perhaps. Madam Timer, the standard duration, 5, 6, and 7. And what a title. We're coming up with these titles, these amazing titles of make your head scratch. Sudarshan Seshadri, my way or the highway? Sudarshan Seshadri, my way or the highway? Sudarshan.
Is this any time to come? Ashish, we were supposed to meet at 10 a.m. sharp. It's now 10:25. Do you think the world stops turning just because you cannot show up to the meeting? I will not accept this. If you cannot manage your time, leave. Do not come late. Thank you. I don't want to talk to you now. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This was me, circa 2011, as a part and a leader of an organization engaged ostensibly in the pursuit of delivering education to children in slums back in India. Our objective was to go there and help these kids become dynamic individuals in their own lives. And what was I doing? I was anointed, not elected. I was anointed the leader of this organization, and I was running it as a martinet. I was running it as I would run a department in my bank. I was running it as I would run any organization where I am getting remunerated for the activity that I was doing. There was one small element that I didn't remember. This was something that we all chose to give our time to. I was literally traveling across from the Middle East to Mumbai every 3 weeks to spend time with people. And therefore my time for me was extremely precious. And in this came a few lessons of leadership that I would like to share with all of you today. This was a volunteer organization, much like a Toastmasters Club, much like anything else that we choose to do ourselves. The word of choice here is choose. We choose to give our time, our energy, our effort, and our intellect to a pursuit which brings us satisfaction, which gives some reason to live for a few others that we are trying to help. And in this gentleman Ashish that day went out of the room with his head very low, his shoulders drooping, and he trudged out of my life, I thought. But what did I realize? That evening, after a series of meetings, I left my office, which was incidentally in the middle of a slum, and I hear children giggling. I hear them giggling with laughter. I hear them repeating something repeatedly. I got curious. I went to look at what is happening. And I find that Ashish is teaching them the 2 and 3 tables. 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8, etc. Much like what you would do to a kindergarten kid. And when I looked at Ashish, I saw in him a beaming individual. And he turns to me and he says, Sir, can I get 5 minutes of your time if you're not too busy? I look at my watch and I say, listen, I have about 4 hours to my flight. Why don't you come with me? We'll have a drink and we'll have a chat. And we went for that proverbial drink, which changed my life. We sat across the table. As both of us took our first sips, we started speaking. And Ashish says, sir, just think about it. I was coming from the other end of town for something that I had volunteered. And what did you do to me? You crushed my entire enthusiasm. You crushed my entire energy and you threw me out of that office. For what? None of us is doing this for anything other than giving back. And in a volunteer organization, the critical aspect is you are there because you chose to be there and you are there to give something back. And leading in such an organization, as Ashish told me and I repeat to you, was, sir, just have 3 E's. Nothing else is required. I said, what are those 3 E's, Ashish? Sir, the first one is empathy. Empathy for the cause that you are in, empathy for the persons that are joining you in this race, and empathy to deliver the best that each and every one of us can. The second, sir, is energy. You have abundance of energy but going in the wrong direction. So just tone it down and channelize it to organize the efforts in such a way that the children will benefit. And the third, sir, is have a little more of enthusiasm. It is not a balance sheet that we are trying to build. It is not profitability charts that we are trying to demonstrate. What we are trying to do here is to give back something. And the more enthusiastically you give back, the less you feel burdened by that task. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, how many times have we encountered in our Toastmasters journey as well? We join a club, we become area directors or presidents, etc. And we find that the going gets tough. Members drop out. People don't show up for meetings. And we are scrambling at the nth hour trying to cobble up people to come and deliver their roles. Why does this happen? And when I ask myself this question, the one single answer that keeps coming back to me and staring me in the face is, it is all about putting the other person first and trying to understand, why are we in this journey? Once you know the why, the how manifests itself practically out of nothing. And once you get the how, then it is a question of why not. And that's exactly why when I look at a club like this, which has over 30 members joining us, it clearly demonstrates that we are all volunteering, but we are looking at it from the same direction. And each and every one of us is out there stretching our hands out to pull the other person up. And no one is saying it's my way or the highway. Because guess what? The highway is there for everyone and we can all go fast. As the old saying goes, if you want to walk fast, go onto the highway and drive alone. But if you want to go far, be in a convoy that will take you much further than what you had planned to. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the single mantra for being a leader of a voluntary organization is, it is never the highway. It's never your way. It is our way and the long way. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Now I understand your title, My Way or the Highway. That is very fitting for your speech. Madam Timer, would you allow a minute for finishing the evaluations for those that wish to offer some pointers to our speaker?
1 minute starting now.
Thank you. I can see how Sudarshan made it to the winner just last few days ago, or last week. Very good. Subsequently, Madam Timer, would you look at the speech times for the speakers? And in getting ready.
No problem.
Sudarshan is another one who loves the story, interaction. Very
That's
good.
1 minute.
Thank you so much, Madam Timer, Samantha. And now the times for each speak, and we will launch the voting of the best speaker as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers for a plethora of extremely dynamic stories. Rivero came in at 11 minutes and 7 seconds. Bindhu Joseph came in at 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Hannah Schmidt came in at 6 minutes, 18 seconds. And Sudarshan Seshadri, hope I got that right, was smack bang on 7 minutes. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow, great. Wonderful indeed. Madam Sergeant at Arms, would somebody be launching the voting for the speaker? Or the speakers, rather?
Mr. Toastmaster, can I interject for a second? And Sharon Jenkins, we have another speaker. Mariana is doing a pathway speech later on. So will she be included in the vote?
Oh, I didn't
No,
know that.
I'm not included in that vote.
Okay, thank you.
And unfortunately, our secretary, who's supposed to set up the polls, dropped that out of because of technical difficulty. So please send in the message, a chat function, you're voting for best speaker, and send it to me directly, Mariana.
Okay, very good. While we do that, Madam Sergeant at Arms, do we have time for?
We have a 5 minutes break. Please, Madam
Okay.
Tyler, set our time for 5-minute break.
Okay.
Okay.
See
Very
you all
good.
back, see you all back in 5 minutes. We have a short bio break.
Madam Timer, would you set the timing for 5 minutes, please?
Yes, it's already
Thank you.
started.
And please, everyone, send your vote for best speaker to my chat directly to me, Mariana. Oh, what was that?
Morena, would you be speaking afterwards? Do we have time for another speech?
What? No more speech today. That's
okay. Oh, okay. All right. So I thought I heard someone say that there's somebody else speaking. Who was that? Sharon was saying something about.
No, my project is I'm table topic master, and that is a project in itself. And that's what Sharon will evaluate later.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, okay. Well, we have launched. Anyways, about the 3 speakers, would you please vote for that? It'll be great. You see it on the screen.
So that's the active listening project, which is basically just commenting on table topics.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay,
Perfect.
okay. Good
Yeah,
to
that's
know.
where we think of speeches. Oh, do we get 5 to 7 minutes? No. Instead, just to see how well we do in table topics. I'm sure that's going to be the case here.
Exactly. You are correct, Ray.
A very quiet group this morning or afternoon or evening.
Mariana,
Otherwise-
sorry, how am I going? How does that work in terms of timing? Because I obviously have to time.
Nothing is changing. You just timing the tabletop speakers. 1 to 2 minutes. 1 minute is green. 1:30.
Okay.
And I can speak as much as I want. I have my freedom. Don't.
I think you have
time even though I'm not a DTM yet, but don't time me today.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yes, I heard that joke before that DTM stands for Don't Tie
Okay.
Me.
We do have a vote. And you can see it on the screen. All right. And I'm sure the efficient Madam Sam Timer will let us know when that 5 minutes is up. Very proficient at what she does.
I'll show the yellow at 4 minutes, which we are slowly approaching.
Well, great.
Thank you.
Anna, where are your animals? I didn't see the cheetah. I guess she's turned off somewhere. She's not hearing me. Oh, Yellow is here with 1 minute to go for our resumption of our program. And now,
I'll be the sergeant at arms from now on, the Raam.
okay. Okay, oh, very, very good. So good to see a switch here. All right. Switcheroo. We're doing a lot of switcheroo today.
We always, there is no such
Whenever needed. Okay, you Sergeant at Arms are very good, very talented individuals we have in this club. This is why the dynamic club, the dynamic structure is very good. Yes. Now
I
we
love
move
the hat,
on.
Hannah.
Now we move on to the next program.
Toastmasters and friends, the Toastmaster wears many hats. I now turn from speaker to sergeant at arms. Dear members and guests, I hope you had a dynamic breakfast, especially those people in Canada. And for all those others with the changing times, that you had a welcome break, either to drink, dinner in the east or whatever. And I'll hand you over to our Sergeant Toastmaster of the day, Raam. Raam, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Now, multiple roles or triple roles, I'm not too sure, but at least two that we know of. It's now time to find out how did we do so far in the meeting? How have we really followed the rules of the game and et cetera? And to do that, we call upon our general evaluator.
Mr. Toastmaster, first the table topics.
Oh, table topics, where did it go? Yes, and there they go. The new agenda. Of course, yes, of course, table topic is so important in getting our impromptu going. Thank you very much for pointing that out. I'm now switched over to the most up-to-date agenda. And I introduce the table topics, and our table topics master for this morning, for this afternoon, for this evening is Mariana Booker. Mariana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. And table topics are challenging our impromptu speech ability. Can you hear me?
There's an echo somewhere.
Somebody needs to mute. Hannah, you might still be on.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. But today's table topics is a bit different than usual because this is my project from strategic relationships, and I have to prove to you that I am able to listen. So you will perform a usual table topic. You will speak 1 to 2 minutes. But I will prove it to you that I was listening, so I will tell you what I heard. You can say what you want, but I will tell you what I heard when you were speaking. So while I introduce my topic, I would like a couple of volunteers. Please raise your hand, or I will just choose from the people around. All right, so today we are talking about changes in time, changes in weather, changes in personality. So let's see, our first volunteer is Dinesh. Please, Dinesh, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's see your question. Please tell me, do you change your attitude as you move from your working space or from your office to home to your family environment? Are you behaving the same way in working when you're working or differently when you are with your family?
Madam Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Very good questions, Madam Table Topic Master, that you raised it. We all believe and we all know there has to be a work-life balance. Our personal life and our professional lives are totally different. So what do I do? Do I change myself while I'm working at my office, which is 5 steps away from my kitchen because we all are working from home? Okay. Or do I still maintain the same way, being in work and being at home also? So as I said earlier, my working space is 5 steps away from my kitchen. So it's very dynamic for me to change quickly and adapt to change while I'm in the office, listening to the meetings and speaking with my colleagues, and then quickly changing myself and going to the kitchen to pick up something for me to eat it too. Okay. As Sudarshan said, correct me if I'm wrong, his name, I don't use the theory my way or highway while working at office as well as working at home. But yes, there are different styles. So I adapt to change while I'm working in the office as well as changing and going 5 steps away to the kitchen to be in my personal space. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Dinesh. So here's what I heard you said or answered to my question, that you think it's important to keep a work and life balance, and that's, I absolutely agree with you. And even you have a very short distance between your office and personal life area, you do change to a certain level, yet you are always a gentle and understanding person, regardless of you are working or spending time with your family. And thank you very much for participating in Table Topics. Our next Table Topic speaker will be Sweta.
Yeah, hello.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So please tell us what happened, what changed in your decision-making process, if anything, in the last 10 years. Are you making decisions differently or everything is the same?
Thank you for the amazing topic, the Table Topic Master. It's growth is what I can say, whether it is 10 years or whether it is whatever ages we are at. We grow with every passing time, every passing moment, I would say. So when it comes to decisions, I have to say that, yes, there is a change. I was completely a student, if I have to say, 10 years ago, and now I'm a young scientist. So for sure, I will have to make decisions depending on what knowledge I contain until now and what knowledge I'm going to grow into. But whenever I take decisions, there is a difference when I was a student and when I'm a scientist or a young entrepreneur in making. Because I'm making decisions not only for myself, but for the thing that I'm developing for the humanity as well as for the environment. I have to make the decision, which is actually worldly affecting everyone that is going to use what I'm making. So I have to be very, very, I would say, thoughtful, and I have to be very, very human when I make any decision, personally or professionally. Because it's all about growing. It's all about a human in progress. And it's all about this soul in very much in gratitude that, yes, I have the ability, or I have the acceptance that, yes, I am growing every moment, every passing day, every passing year, and every passing Toastmaster meeting, I would say, that helps me to become what I am today and what I'm going to become in the future. So yes, Table Topic Master, it has changed and for the better. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sweta. Wonderful reaction. And yes, what I understand that you are growing continuously. And especially in the past 10 years, if we look at it, you grew from student to a scientist and a young entrepreneur, which requires different decision-making styles. And you became aware of more of your surroundings, humanities, your families and friends and working partners needs as well. So now you have to consider not just yourself, but everyone else around you. And thank you very much for growing and changing in a positive way. And our next table topic speaker will be Kathryn. All right, Kathryn. So, Kathryn, tell us about how did you change your wellness exercise routine in the past few years, 5 years? Did you change anything, or are you doing the same things continuously?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. 3 years ago, I weighed 165 pounds. And then I thought I couldn't fit in my clothes. I'd wake up with a really low vibration, a very low mood, depressing in fact. So I thought, what could I do differently so that finally I can achieve the health and the physique that I've always wanted? Out of the grace of the divine, I met someone who was more disciplined than I was. And she offered that I partner with her. I've had many accountability partners, but she was the only successful one out of being overweight for more than a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, my situation was very different because that accountability partner was my game changer. She really helped me discipline my disappointments and be able to achieve the physique that I have. And as we speak, for the last 2 years, that 35 pounds has been off. But I still look forward to losing some more. It's hard, but I know a bit to help anyone who would be like me, who really struggled for decades on how to improve my physique and my health and my wellness. Over to you, Raam.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. That was a dynamic change. Wow, thank you for participating and thank you for sharing. Wow, from 165 pounds down 35 pounds. And yeah, you might have still some to lose. Who doesn't? I certainly do. Definitely understand. And thank you for pointing it out how important it is to find the right partner who can keep us accountable and keep us on track. So congratulations for your achievement and thank you for participating. All right. Brand, would you like to participate in the table topic?
No, I'm just keeping track, Mariana.
Okay, just keeping track. So let's see who's our next Who is our next volunteer? Any volunteers out there? Can I see some hands? Yes. Sharav?
Yes, good morning, Mariana.
Welcome, Sharav. Let's see. Please tell us something about how COVID changed your working environment, if it changed it at all.
Oh, absolutely, Mariana. I'd love to share how this pandemic has changed my environment, my working environment, and my perspective when it's come to working collaboratively and collectively. So the one value that COVID has certainly taught me is the power of communication. So I went from a consultant that was traveling every week to different parts within the US and Canada, meeting my clients in person, having a lot of face-to-face meetings, having a lot of hallway meetings, and building a rapport and relationship one-on-one with the people that most matter, which in fact is everybody on the client's team for that reason, for that matter. I went from that model of spending a lot of time right in front of the client to being cooped up in my own room during the pandemic. Understandably so, we had to do what we had to do in the interest of of all of our collective safety. But that brought its own challenges. Now I didn't have those face-to-face meetings. I didn't have those hallway meetings that were informal yet important. I didn't get a chance to build that rapport with the client, with my client's team. Sometimes we would meet right in the kitchenette and have a quick conversation and build a friendship that would last several years, if not an entire career. So to replace those face-to-face meetings, I really had to adapt, and I had to make a conscious effort in making sure that I spend that time, not only talking about business and talking about the objectives that we've set out to achieve, but also spend some time building the relationship. And what I would do is I would schedule these informal calls, and maybe calling them informal is a bit contradictory. It's a paradox because you're scheduling them, but those informal calls certainly helped. What I would do is I would just pick up the phone, ask them, how are you? And they would they would tell me all their pain points, all their challenges. They would be very vulnerable and share their emotions with me about how anxious they were about our project milestones. That gave me a perspective unlike any other that I couldn't capture during those official meetings. So the one thing that I could tell everyone, whether we are in a pandemic or not, whether we're connecting over Zoom and teleconferencing mechanisms, or whether we're meeting face-to-face, but do not underestimate the power of effective communication, which is one of the reasons why we're here in Toastmasters. Thank you very much for allowing me to share, Mariana. Mariana, you're on mute.
I do that. Oh, thank
Which
you.
is, you're on mute is the most common phrase that was said during the pandemic.
Yes, I heard about that one.
Yes.
And thank you very much again for participating and sharing your experience and telling us that, yes, your life absolutely changed because of COVID, because for you, communication is very important, especially a one-on-one communication, unscheduled, impromptu communication, just like impromptu speaking. And you had to adapt, and that's what you did. You adapted to the new lifestyle, and you scheduled just informal calls. And I have to tell you, that's what I do with Leadership Speak, that we do have this meeting time, but Monday evening and Friday morning, and always open up the Zoom, and anybody is welcome to pop in if need advice, mentoring help, or just to chat about coffee or whatever. And it is very important. And yes, COVID gave us new perspective. So thank you very much for sharing. And let's see if we have one more table topic time.
I think we're caught up on the time-wise, and we're bang on time-wise.
Yes, we have one. As Percy, would you like to participate?
Sorry, Mariana, we are bang on time, so we will run over time if, as Mr. Toastmaster said, if we take one more.
All righty. Okay, so I'm sorry, Percy. So that was the table topic today. Please vote. We had Dinesh at first, and then Shweta, Kathryn, and Sharon.
Right. We have the screen up for the voting. And good time to do is in it. Okay, we've done the voting. Madam Samantha, timing. Would you report
Yes.
on the timing, please, on the table topics?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you to our table topics master for the dynamicism with which that table topic session was run. And thank you to the speakers for the reflective and relatable responses. I know I related to all of them. Dinesh, you came in at 1 minute 42 seconds. Sweta, you came in at 1 minute 45 seconds. Kathryn, you came in at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And Sharon, you came in at 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And a note, because it is contest season, had this been a contest, you would have been disqualified, as the maximum time is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Madam Timer. Now, before we move on to the next program, we ask all the guests to please rename yourself, beginning with a guest, if you are a guest, so that we could identify you, who you are, and speak to you as well. And if you could do that, it'll be a dynamic thing to do. Now, moving on to our next chapter, and we have caught up on time, we're right on, which is very good. I call upon our general evaluator to tell us, how did we do in our program this morning, afternoon, good evening? And to do that, I'm going to call Toastmaster Vinod Panikar to take over. Vinod?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Some 2000 years ago, Socrates had said, an unexamined life is not worth living. By the way, it also applies to an organization and a club also. So today I have an amazing set of team who are going to examine the speeches and the club proceedings, the grammar usage, and all those things. So my first team member, I would like to welcome what Granny would call Francois. Can I please welcome Francois on the screen to evaluate our leadership speaker, Toastmaster Ray. Can someone please help me to spotlight Francis?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Francis. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vinod. Yes, it's an inside joke how Granny be called my name, but it's okay. Only she gets away with it. Bernard just got away with it as well too. To my speaker, Toastmaster Ray, thank you so much for your speech. And information that gave a lot of aha moments, and here you excel. But before I give, let me give the purpose statement. The purpose statement is the purpose of this project is for the member or all the organization. The purpose of this speech is for the members to share some aspects of his or her experience as a leader and all the impact of the 360-degree evaluation. And the excel in sharing in-depth information that every one of us needs at this time, especially as Toastmasters as well, as we channel our way in leadership in the post-COVID. The PowerPoint presentation.
Lo que pasa es que estoy en una junta de Toastmasters, y estaba en el teléfono, pero ya me cambié a la computadora.
Someone is speaking.
Yeah, it's okay now. Presentation. All right. Thank you again. You shared in-depth information that every one of us need at this time as we channel our way in leadership in the post-COVID world. The PowerPoint presentation flowed. In it, you shared your personal stories, and these all kept the audience engaged from beginning to end. You gave a call to action through giving advice at the end. This will linger in the minds of the audience. What you may want to work on vocal variety. The tone was a bit monotone, although you presented clear and well. Would you like to challenge yourself? Engage the audience with some few questions, either before your story or just after. Anyone experience ABC or 1, 2, 3? How given your story will linger in even longer in someone like, I can relate to that story. Oh, I didn't know I'm supposed to do that. Continue soaring as a leader and sharing and ironing our irons. Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Back over to you.
Thank you very much, Francois. And what I will be doing is I will be giving my feedback to the evaluators. As a general evaluator, my role is also to give feedback to the evaluators. So was the feedback constructive? Yes, very constructive. Okay, now Brent would be marking it, the very word over here. I would be mindful of that now. You gave 2 points of improvement. And that is something an advanced speaking club is looking for. What was it? First was you mentioned monotone, and the second you mentioned you could have engaged before or after. What I would like to take your evaluation to the next level to challenge you, demonstrate it. If it was monotone, mention the line exact, pick it from somewhere and say, Ray, you were monotone when you said that you saw something in the supermarket. Oh, I saw something in the soup. I was looking for it, something like that. Pick up the exact line and then give a demo. It can be done like this. Even the statement engage before or after, give a demo. You could have asked a question, how many of you have done, and pause, something like that. So giving a demo would be more useful, a takeaway for our speaker. Thank you very much, Francois, for that. Now, let me call upon our second evaluator. And the second evaluator for the day is Toastmaster Dinesh. Toastmaster Dinesh, the screen is all yours to evaluate the speaker Bindhu.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And more importantly, thank you, Bindhu, for allowing me to evaluate your speech. You made us realize that, hey, the ghost thinks also. Okay, so by sharing your story of death of Bindhu Joseph, okay, you give us a whole new perspective of life. So here's what I'm going to do that to. The things that you did it good, the things which I feel that you could do a little better. And the last thing is, yes, how you close it off. So the things that you did good was the background that you had it, which was all light up, candle lights and all that stuff, which made it realize that, hey, we are not on earth, we are somewhere in the heaven or so. That was the first good thing. The second good thing which you did, Bindhu, was you related three different individuals, your colleague, Mariana, your student, Pallavi, and then your mother. So three different perspectives. But more importantly, in vocal varieties and in the body language, I actually saw you putting your hand as in a thinking mode, that what's my mother was thinking, or making a sober mood, how Pallavi, the student, was thinking, hearing about your death and all that stuff. So these were the good things. The things that I feel you could do it a little better, or, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you said, hey, as a ghost, you saw Mariana, your friend, or Pallavi, or your mother, if you could put either their pictures, or even if you don't want to put their picture, some dummy picture of an individual in that sober mood, thinking that, hey, my teacher, my daughter, my friend has recently passed away, okay, and then connecting that would build up or will lift the profile of the speech itself. And the other good thing which you did it is when you mentioned, hey, the coconut tree fell on your head, and I'm relating to it, how I know, stuff happens in India. Okay, people fall down. I recently, I keep hearing these stories. Okay, so those vocal varieties and body language were pretty good. And the last thing which you did it very well, and that's how you closed your speech. And you says, do not have any unfulfilled desires. That's a message that you gave it to us, because you said your two fathers would be living in the heaven because they didn't have any unfulfilled desire. You are a ghost because you had an unfulfilled desire. So that's a message. As far as the Toastmasters is concerned, then you closed it off and said, hey, make sure that you do your work to get the club the DCP point. So you related life story, but then you connected it with the Toastmaster journey also. But all in all, very inspiring, Bindhu. I really enjoyed it. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Dinesh. Your tone of evaluation was similar to the tone of the speaker, a pinch of humor and uplifting. Thank you for that. And the point of improvement that you mentioned over here was using a visual aid. Basically, you were mentioning a picture, using a visual aid in a presentation, and you gave an example. Now, if I would like to give you a suggestion, it would be the purpose of the speech was purely vocal variety. So the focus could have been on pitch, tone, volume, and pace in the speech. That were the elements. As an evaluator, I would have loved to focus more on, means apart from the visual one. Whatever suggestion you have given was absolutely amazing, but I would have loved if you would have focused more on the purpose and the pace, pause, pitch, and tone of the speech. But thank you very much for that. Now, our third evaluator, my very good friend, Toastmaster Sandy. Toastmaster Sandy would be evaluating Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Toastmaster Vinod. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially to Hannah from across the pond. Hannah, I really enjoyed your speech, and you have shown me many lessons today in your speech. And your purpose was around vocal variety, body language, and gestures. And in the short time I have, I would like to say that I do meet with you at Toastmasters and on Fridays with Mariana, but this speech today, I don't know, I saw your smile and you were glowing talking about this reunion. And for me, I want to go to this event. This could be a persuasive speech because the characters and the stories and the memories where it was a great story without the gestures, but with the gestures, it just brought it to life. And I think I would suggest to you to watch the recording just of your speech and watch it without the sound, to have a look at the gestures that you made. Some were brilliant and purposeful and intentional. Something I have not learned yet is to do this project and overuse gestures. And I think that you could take a few out, but the memorable ones, oh my goodness, my favorite, hope I don't run out of time. My favorite was the heart throb. This one, I actually felt heat. And when you told us about the couple or the people that died in the crash, I do remember holding my breath. And one of the signs of a really polished storyteller or speaker is to be able to move and take your audience on that ride. You did take me. Can't speak for the rest of the globe that's here, but I do remember holding my breath. Something about communicating online is a little different than communicating in person. And at the beginning of your speech, you did this to indicate the telephone, but it was the only time throughout your story. And I would suggest that maybe because we're communicating on Zoom, mostly, at least my generation, I would talk to the camera more, because the phone part, if you're going to use it, you need to use it throughout the entire conversation. And I think that might be a bit much on this new way to communicate. So I would communicate more with the camera than using the phone. Your background, sorry, I have 30 seconds, so I want to say, I've seen your backgrounds with these most amazing animals. I would have had a party picture with balloons or the reunion or something. That's it, my time is up. I'm so happy I came to hear this, and I'd love to go to the reunion next year in March.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Your smile, your the way you dynamically gave your evaluation definitely was uplifting, and it definitely makes sure that Hannah will come and give the speech again. The 2 points of improvement that you mentioned, where you could have looked into the camera and watch without the sound, both are good in terms of helping the speaker. It would go far. And one thing that you mentioned was the story took you on the ride. The purpose of any story is to elicit emotion. And I would have loved, apart from the heartthrob, there were many instances in the story where she could emote, where you could have highlighted, because the purpose of any story is to elicit emotion, and there were many emotion in the story. You picked on one, but I would have loved if you could have picked on more, because it is during that expressions when you can raise, pause, pace, pitch, all the things can happen based on the project purpose. Thank you very much for that, Sandy. Now, our next evaluator is Toastmaster Mohammad Asif Saeed. May I please welcome Toastmaster Mohammad Asif Saeed to evaluate Sudarshan. Yes, sir. The screen is all yours.
Thank you, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Vinod, and President Toastmaster of the Day and fellow Toastmasters, especially Toastmaster Seshadri. A very good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Well, in this today's speech with Toastmaster Sudarshan, we heard about how he led an organization, a voluntary organization, in comparing with his banking as his experience, and his experience as how he interacted with another gentleman, Mr. Ashish, during his journey for leading this organization for delivering education to the slum kids. Well, I really love the way you delivered the speech, the enthusiasm you had, the clear, concise, and the fluency you had in your communication, speech delivery, the emphasis, the vocal variety you used, that word like choosing. Now that word emphasizing repeatedly shows like, so important in a voluntary organization that we choose to come over here and we choose for a larger purpose. So that was so resonating with me and also as a Toastmaster, it resonates with us that, the higher the purpose it is, when we come to the volunteer organization, it's so difficult and complicated to lead in a volunteer organization and comparing it to a corporate world where you have the hierarchy and you have all the power. So the purpose of the speech was to share your experience of leading in a volunteer organization. That has been achieved. As I have already mentioned that you are, a fabulous, a very comfortable speaker. It's very important that to understand that why the members or why the your audience would love to hear from you is to understand your experience and to learn from your experience. Now, what I understood from this story over here is that there was a mistake. It was killing a person's enthusiasm. And then that person, in turn, enlightened you with the 3 E's. And then that was your learning journey. So it would have been really good if you would have explained to us, how did you learn from that? And then you implement it further into your journey. And that led to more success. So it's all about using the skills in leading an organization, like managing conflict, problem solving, and using your enthusiasm and motivating the volunteer organization members. And how did you grow as a person in that? What things should I learn from you in that experience? So using an appropriate story setting would definitely enhance you as a fabulous speaker. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Evaluator Toastmaster Muhammad Asif Said. Very well analyzed and a point made that where was this implemented? Very nicely asked, because when you share a learning or a message, we also want to know that this was the story twist that happened in your in your speech, and how did you use it, or how are you currently using it in your life? That was a good question. Now, a generic feedback to all the evaluators or to the future evaluators of the leadership speaks. One is, make sure you manage your time. Manage time in sense, evaluation needs to have an opening body and closing. And closing, make sure your last words are impactful. Because your last, Patricia Fripp says that your last words linger. You have to make sure you take them high and make them fly. My mentor always says the role of an evaluator is to take the speakers high and make them fly, and in between give the points of improvement which can be implemented in their next speech. Amazing job. I am so happy for all my speech evaluators right now over here. And the second thing, generically, what I would like to say is, please do not repeat the speech purpose and do not repeat much parts of the speech. A speaker has 7 minutes, an evaluator has only 2 minutes, 2 to 2.5 minutes. So we need to be very analytical, take a point and analyze it and give our suggestions or give our appreciation, commendation or recommendation, whatever it is. Thank you very much to all of you. Now let me call upon our next evaluator who would be evaluating the active listening project of Mariana, Toastmaster Sharon Jenkins. Sharon, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. GE, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I congratulate you, Mariana. You did a fantastic job. And today I will be evaluating you based on what you excelled at, what you may want to work at, and to challenge yourself. So you excelled at by asking provoking questions and summarizing superbly. You were prepared with your dynamic topics. You chose most people who didn't have a speaking role on the agenda. Your summaries were completed with positivity, respect, and encouragement. Thank you for a dynamic, interactive, impromptu session. One of your objectives was to not encourage dialogue between you and the speaker after the table topic response. You handled yourself very well and kept the session going by offering a quick, crisp response, and then immediately moving to the next questions. Thank you. You may want to work on more of an explanation. For example, for one speaker, you mentioned they were gentle and understanding. How did you arrive at that conclusion? Was it the voice, the gestures? Give us support material for this observation. And two, this is a little smaller and it's a little subtle, but when you had one person talk about being a student and evolving into a scientist, you maybe suggest that the person is changing herself by bettering her education instead of you've evolved from student to a scientist, more aware of humanity, family, friends around you. Thank you for changing in a positive way. Perhaps reinforce that the person is growing continuously and congratulate them for that. We hope it's in a positive manner. So that's just a suggestion. And to challenge yourself, ensure all participants don't have a speaking role on the agenda. However, keep doing what you're doing and have a longer session. You achieved your objectives to demonstrate active listening skills. Your responses were short, affirming statements after each speaker. You closed your session when the time was up and you didn't question it. Congratulations, Mr. GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sharon. That was amazing, using a framework that is given in pathways, what you excelled at, and you also gave the challenges. And something as a debater that I like is you made a statement that whenever you make a claim, give a supporting material. Never say something which you cannot support. And the second thing was you mentioned about reaffirming. So both done very well. Thank you very much. So now let me call upon someone who has been raising hands and who has been given the word today, dynamic, with an amazing dynamic logo, which is continuously being dynamic throughout. If people have observed that, let me call on that dynamic first president of the leadership speak to give the grammarian report. Toastmaster Brent.
Sorry, Mr. GE, a point of order. I think I am meant to provide the times of the evaluators at this point.
Yes.
And the
So
launch
Brent,
the poll for best evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Samantha. Can you first give us the timing for all the evaluators?
No problem. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name properly, so I'll just go with Francois. Was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Dinesh was 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Sandy was 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Mohammed was 3 minutes and 11 seconds. And Sharon was 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
So all the speakers are qualified and all Toastmasters can vote when the polling will come. Are we going to vote, or do we need to send it to Mariana? Yes, the polls are over here. Please do vote. And one thing, please remember, you can vote for yourself. That way you make sure you get at least one vote.
Mr. GFE, can I also just clarify on the agenda, it says the grammarian only has 2 minutes. Is that correct, or is it meant to be 3 minutes as well?
We would like to give 3 minutes and we'll cover the meeting.
Okay, all right.
So the voting is done. Now let me call upon Brent. The screen is all yours, Brent.
Thanks, Vinod. As usual, in a leadership meeting, we didn't have a ton of filler words. Our prepared speeches were virtually absent of filler words. In total, though, I did capture 36 filler words used throughout the meeting. Notably, the one filler word that is used the most in this meeting was the word and. And a lot of people don't notice that we use the word and as a filler word. The second biggest culprit, of course, was so. We actually had fewer ums and ahs than we had ands and so's, just FYI. The use of the word very or really in describing an adjective or an adverb, we use that about 15 times. And the one that I heard the most was, thank you very much. How about thank you truly? or thank you sincerely. Be creative. Inspire yourself to use more creative language as opposed to relying on very and really. As for the use of the word of the day, I'd say we weren't quite dynamic in our use of the word of the day. I caught 11 uses of the word of the day, with our last evaluator using it twice right in her evaluation. So thank you very much. As for stylistic devices, I really wanted to point out Sudarshan for, I think I caught about 8 uses of some really unique stylistic devices. The use of triples, words like trudged out of my life, a beaming individual. When I say the tripling, when he described empathy, 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 empathy to describe it 3 different ways, really effective. I caught myself using the word really again, but a truly effective way of using those literary devices in a stylistic way to make his speech so much more effective. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Brent. As usual, always pleasure listening to you, your cool and relaxing voice. It feels like we are sitting near an ocean and listening to a lot of wisdom. Thank you very much for that. Now, quickly, my 2 cents on the entire meeting, on the club proceedings. We have our evaluator. Yes, thank you very much for that. So let me quickly, as I have done most of my evaluation section, evaluating the speakers as well as the grammarian, it has been done. So let's say what happened in the meeting. One suggestion that I would like to make is, we in Leadership Speaks, we have a culture of at least coming 15 to 20 minutes before. And what our president keeps emphasizing, connect. It happens before the meeting or after the meeting. I was continuously searching for all the role players and ticking them. 50% of them came 3 minutes before or when the meeting started. I would request that let it be at least 15 minutes before, come before the meeting. Then you can see the smiling Hannah, Mariana, Ray also was there, Sandy, Sandy, you came late, by the way. Okay, and so you can see all these smiling faces welcoming you. So that is one thing that I would like to say. Please come early. The meeting started 1 minute late. I think means the meetings that I have attended, it has never been even a minute late. This was the first meeting that I have attended 1 minute late. So please make sure we do the timing on perfect. And I would give a big, let us give a big round of applause to our timer today. Everyone, Toastmaster Samantha, she was like a thorough parliamentarian in a parliament, like it's time, right? And we had to start at 9:30, or else it would have been 2-3 minutes more late. So kudos to the timer. The SAA came and introduced, because the SAA that has been assigned in the room, means the Lokesh was not here. I think you had to take the role, but every role that we take, we need to give its due to the role. So either we prepare for the role and be there. It's not something we are doing quickly to finish it off. So I felt, Mariana, because you had 2-3 roles today, you were trying to skip that, like, okay, this is what I have to do, and let me give to the Toastmaster of the day. Please don't do that. Every role has its importance, and let us give every role that importance. But loved it, loved the way you handled all the roles. Then came the TMOD, Toastmaster Raam. Very pleasing. I mean, it's always, he is also like a person who is like, comes across very cool and calm. Even if you do anything to him, he is very calm, very calm, very calm. And he took the meeting also, the theme, he introduced the theme immediately. He introduced the role players perfectly. Little bit of confusions, maybe because he's doing Toastmaster of the day after a long time, I believe, but he handled it pretty well. What I would suggest is, just as every role player explained what their role is, Toastmaster of the day can also explain what their role is. You could have said that this is going to be the proceedings for the 2 hours. There will be 3 sections or whatever it is. We have speeches, this. So it gives like the people, maybe the guest, it gives a clear idea of what it is. Apart from that, I felt, Raam, you did an amazing job of handling everything in spite of the agendas here and there. Yes, let's give a big round of applause to that. The toast of the day, Aswati, Toastmaster Aswati, welcome to Leadership Speaks. I think you are a hardcore Toastmaster Club Executive Committee member. Only a Club ExCom can speak about renewal toast in this meeting, right? Or generally we would speak something else, but a Club ExCom or a Toastmaster is like, yes, you renewed, you became a Toastmaster. That's what we want to do. Amazingly done. Thank you very much for that and reminding. Grammarian Brent, if you notice, the word dynamic was continuously being moved, and he raised his hand so that everybody sees, and he had put something on the screen so that he does not appear and the screen appears. That also was done amazingly. Timer Samantha, role well explained. She was spotlighting fabulously, flawlessly whenever the green was coming. So all in all, I enjoyed the meeting thoroughly today, and with changing time, let's be more dynamic. And the preparedness was there for all the speeches, and as usual, just love the meeting today. So whatever I had told my 2 cents, let's start applying from the next meeting. Thank you very much, and back to Toastmaster of the day, Raam.
Thank you, Vinod. What a general evaluator you are, and very exquisite indeed. If we looked at the clock right now, it's 11:30. This is what Toastmaster meetings are all about. Being consistent at all times. And it's great, not great, but the dynamic is the word. And this brings into our very good meeting to an end. Not only that, but now we transfer control to our president, Raam, who will welcome the guests and talk to them a little while. I transfer control now to our president, Raam. Raam?
Thank you very much, Raam. I came in at 11 o'clock today, but when I came in, there were over 30 people, and that's like amazing. It's a dynamic club after all, right? With guests and members together, over 30 these days in an advanced club is rare. I was at an advanced club in Bahrain, and it was a big event, and there were only about 12 people in the room. So there you go. When Leadership Speak has that many guests and members together, it's just incredible the sort of things that we are doing and the service that we are providing that people come to watch. I'd like to actually acknowledge our first, before I talk to the guests, and please guests, don't go. I will talk to you in a second, but I want to acknowledge our brand new members, Mohammed Asif Sayed, who was an evaluator, Sudarshan, speaker, Bindhu Joseph, a speaker, Aswati Rajan, a toast, Samantha Richmond, a timer, and Raam Lakhanpal as the Toastmaster of the day. Can you imagine 6 brand new members and being present in the meeting, holding roles right away? And that is incredible that you engage new members right away. So congratulations, Mariana, for the Vice President of Education for doing that and making sure that everyone was engaged. Wonderful. And of course, we have Marie Cousin as well, who's a brand new member present here today. Now, we have, of course, some guests here. I would like to ask their feedback of what they thought of the meeting, if they're still here. Let me see. Oh, yes, Sweta Bansali. Hi, Sweta, how are you? And good to see you here today.
Yeah, hi, Raam. I'm very good, and I'm very happy to be here. But still, I don't have to use the word very as told by the grammarian, so I would try to avoid that. And it was like amazing experience. Awesome to be here. I would say it was a great meeting because I got to learn a lot from the different speakers, from the way table topics was done, even if it was her project, but the questions were very amazing. Questions were amazing. And I love the fact the way evaluations were done. I got to learn a lot from the evaluators today, being a Toastmaster myself. And maybe in future, I'll be the part of the club as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And that future could be now, right, Sweta?
Yes, the philosophy is that only, to live in the now. So that's what I also follow, definitely.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
And then we have